guys, it's been such a long time since I built my guitar, I decided I should finally maybe tell you about it. I mean, I know I did the initial sort of building video, but never really give you the details here, so I'll show you. Let me sit down first. Oh, right. Oh, there we are. So, that's the main sort of body of my guitar. It's built on the shape of a BC Rich Beast, as I'm sure most of you all know. I've used Beast since I was about 16 years old, so I kind of get used to the shape. This part here sits nicely on the inside of my leg, and this part here I can use sort of my forearm to push down and get the nice angle for the neck, the way I've been playing for such a long time. So I went with the shape because I just, I enjoy it. Don't like BC Rich that much, but I enjoy the shape. So it's made out of walnut, and I'll just flip it over. It's quite heavy as a result. So yeah, it's made out of walnut. It's not quite as polished as it sometimes is. As you can see here, it's kind of dull. That's because my body's eroding away the wax. But here's a nice and shiny bit. I'll just sort of give it a wee bit of that. As you can see, there are multiple pieces here. I'll try and point out the lines. You'll probably be able to see them. That is, this was all made out of 2 pieces of walnut and the ebony fingerboard, which is on the other side, obviously. So this, there's a line here, as you can see, it just goes all the way up. Then the centre piece is all the way from the bottom up through the neck to the headstock is 1 piece of wood. So I built this essentially like a 1-piece guitar. I can see, if you can see the seam here. Oh, there's the seam right there. And then obviously I just cut this out with some excess and left a wee bit so I can get my finger under. Ooh. Right, okay. So yeah, nice grain pattern. Oh, get focus, you beast. Right, nice grain pattern. As you can see, I've got a weird shape on the heel, just for a little bit more access. It kind of banks in here. If you look, that's straight down. That's the inside of the lower cutaway, and usually it would be straight flat like that. But I cut it back, so I've got a bit more place, a bit more of a place to put my hand. I cut that away as well. As you can see, it's kind of rounded down, so that it doesn't attack me when I bring my hand past. It doesn't like jab me in the hand or something, because usually this would be flat up to here, and that's a whole lot more wood to try and avoid. So I think in further iterations I actually might bring this horn a bit further back, because it is a little long still, and sometimes it does catch. But yeah, with it being a 1-piece, no neck joint, I could just make this any shape I wanted, and so I made it a nice shape to touch. Anyway, right, going up here, you can see just the grain. Oh, hello, fucking hell. Focus again. There we go. Grain pattern. It's kind of nice. This isn't the natural colour of walnut. This particular walnut was a little bit lighter, but I give it a black stain and then sanded most of it away, so it was just a little bit of black in the grain. I'll just move up here as well. Aye, nice grain. Anyway, I'll flip it back over. Oh, Christ. So this thing, I've never weighed it, and I don't have any heavy guitars to compare the weight with, so maybe, well, I've got a mahogany maple over there, but it's a whole lot lighter because there's less wood. Anyway, so this is a veneer, as you can see, and you can also probably see this. This pattern here is not a figment of the wood. It's my terrible gluing, but it turned out pretty good. I've always had fairly terrible veneer gluing due to lack of apparatus, but the rippling pattern kind of goes well. It gives a nice pattern to look at. The centre is the sapwood of this particular piece of veneer, and it goes up just through the centre of the pickups, really, just giving a nice little offset. It's very rustic looking. Right, let's go into hardware. So, Schaller 3D6 bridge. It's got rollers in it. I kind of like rollers. I've been using them since I refinished another Beast, which was a special edition that broke in the post. I've been using the roller bridge ever since then, but I've been breaking strings more often. That being said, I have been using a slightly different way of playing. Instead of a pick, I'm using my nail, and it's a reinforced nail, so that might also have something to do with my breaking of strings. So yeah, nice bridge. this little thing, just, you know, loosen that off. Well, that's there actually just to hold all these in place, because I don't know if anybody's played just regular Fender style bridges. The saddles tend to move around a little bit, and also the grub screws in here sometimes they cut. I was kind of scared of that, but that's not how you do with that. Anyway, they don't cut because they're well in there, well deep in there, and they don't get anywhere near my hand. So yeah, that just tightens up all these saddles so that they don't move around and you don't hear them in your playing, because as much as it's a very small addition to the sound, you do notice it every now and again. So none of that. Fully adjustable. Obviously these are individually adjustable backwards and forwards, up and down, wherever you want them to go. And I did that on purpose. I bought this bridge on purpose because obviously I built this guitar from the ground up. None of it was sort of machined by anything else or anyone else. And so I thought the neck is going to be quite hard to get right, and the concave in the neck specifically, and some bridges are sort of set to a 12-inch radius, which, if you don't know, it's off the flat. Instead of your neck being completely flat like that, obviously it curves around a little bit for your finger, because your finger's not completely straight, or at least it can be, but it's not comfortable at a bar like that. It's a bit more comfortable at bend. So that's your fingerboard radius, and so you're meant to have a bridge that matches the radius to your neck, or there or thereabouts. And since I thought I'm probably not ever going to be able to get that perfect first time, I need something that's fully adjustable so I can match what my I can match my errors, if you like. So nice and adjustable. It's solid. It sounds good. You know, it transfers the tone well from the wood. On to these. So pickups I'm using. I've tried a few different pickups. These specifically are a different design. They're lace alumitones. They're not the usual sort of voltage-based style pickups. These are more of a current-based system. So what this is one big aluminium coil, yeah, with obviously the two neodymium magnets in there, and then behind, I think it's on this side, underneath, you've got a small step-up transformer, which brings them up to a decent output. As a result of it only being, this, I'm probably going to get a few details wrong, so please don't quote me, but go and check it out yourself. It's really interesting. But as far as I understand or can remember, because it's just one turn, it's one turn in here rather than sort of the 6,000 turns or whatever you have in a fairly hot copper coil pickup, or the regular style pickups. The resistance that the translation of movement here, the current that induces in the coils, the resistance that meets as a result of there being tons of coils, changes the sound somewhat. So the more, if you have like less, really, like if you have one turn, for instance, one turn of copper wire, you're going to have very little output, but it's going to be very, you can have a lot of high end and, well, I guess potentially a lot low end, but it's usually less if you have like a really low turn count, say maybe 2,000 or something. That's more attributed, and if you imagine now an EQ curve, it's more attributed with a very scooped sound. Around about maybe 4,000 or 5,000, again depending on the gauge of wire, depending on loads of things really, but that's usually more of a flat sound. And then when you start going crazy and like overwinding what do you call them? Oh. the things that you put the wire around. Anyway, when you start overwinding them with like 6,000 and 7,000, you get more of a mid-high, a mid-heavy sound. So these, by comparison, are pretty damn flat because it's only one coil with a step-up transformer on the inside. And so, by comparison to regular pickups, I hear a lot of people saying they're very sharp, they're very harsh. I disagree. I found these pickups, I've put them in a few different guitars, and I found them to be very honest, if you understand what I mean by that. They're very honest sounding pickups, because if you have a guitar that's made out of shit, it's going to make it sound shit. It's going to tell you that, you know, it's going to let you know your guitar is a piece of crap, you know. Whereas if your guitar is made out of something that's got a bit of character, like walnut, it will bring out the tone a little bit more. It's very honest, very unbiased, very uncoloured sound, to my ears anyway. So I like them for that. You know, I've always been a firm believer of if you want to have a good sound, you want to get the most sound possible, the most sonic information possible from the instrument to start with before you start messing around with it with distortion or manipulating with EQ or anything, because you can't add things in, you can only take away, really. So yeah, very nice pickups. They're both exactly the same. There's no as far as I'm aware with the Lumitones, there's no sort of bridge wound and neck wound. Again, just, you know, getting as much sonic information as possible from each position. The actual holders, as you can see, they're kind of curved here. I rest my pinky, if it was the other way around, my hand obviously, my right hand is holding the camera right now, but my pinky kind of rests in there, and it's quite comfortable for finger picking. This one's flat because I'd never do that with this one. And there's some nice grain patterns in the back of here which I enjoy when I play, but you can't see them because it's not for you. Anyway, yeah, onto the neck. Nice ebony fretboard. It's fairly plain, not very figured at all. Stainless steel frets. I did this inlay as well. It's not quite as clean as it looks from back here. If I maybe try and get a little bit closer. You can't really see it that much. Maybe you can see the D there. There's a couple of little dings. That's where my router, being the big thing that it is rather than a detail router, it kind of chipped away at some of the ebony. I had to fill it back in with the dust and some glue. But from back here you can't notice it, so I'm happy. And it's obviously the DC logo, it's the band. Going further up, there's nothing much else going on. Oh yeah, my string tree. This I put in because I made the angle of the headstock. I don't know. It didn't have quite enough to deal with the pressure in the strings here going to the tuning pegs. So I had to pull them down with this. Well, actually, what it is, a left-handed nut turned upside down and sanded to make it, you know, not look like a nut. And it holds the strings down, obviously, so I've got a better relief down here, better termination of the sound here. And as a result, I've got no space to put a truss rod cover, but that doesn't bother me because it was kind of funny. This particular design here, as I said earlier, I refinished a Beast that was a special edition. And I used a veneer that had a nice figuring in it that looked like a goat's head, and I used the goat's head up here. That was on obviously a different guitar, it looked a little bit nicer, but I tried to go for the same thing here. So you can see it's a bit darker, and the lighter parts is meant to be, this is meant to be the head, these are meant to be horns. So yeah, that's what I was going for. So, oh, I recently broke my selector switch, bit of plastic. I'll need to get a metal one because I do slap that a bit hard. Yeah, so that's what it is. It took me about 2-3 months to build from start to finish, and it was a learning process the entire time. I was very much looking at lots of YouTube videos, of which there are many, and taking from it as much information as I could gather, and sort of trying things out before I committed them to my guitar here. The worst part about building a guitar, I say the worst part, the most if you mess it up, that's it, you know. The worst part about building a guitar, I'd say, is the neck, because, well, it's math intensive. If you get the curvature wrong and you don't spend enough time on getting the frets and all that dressed, then it's going to be feeling and sounding quite crap, despite how nice the wood may sound. And speaking of which, this thing, it's got quite a distinctive character. I mean, there are people out there who've made a number of walnut guitars. Wait a minute, why am I just showing you my guitar? Oh, I suppose it's a guitar video. I'll leave you looking at my guitar. Yeah, there are a number of people out there who've made walnut guitars, and they've had distinctive sounds. This is American walnut. There are loads of different kinds of walnut, but sonically I'm not sure how they would differ. But I'm going to give you a wee sound demo of this as well. Now, these strings are how old are these? I think they're a couple of weeks, maybe a month old. So it's not going to be glinty, but you'll maybe be able to appreciate what I mean by sort of a full sound, the completely uncoloured sound. So I'll show you that now. Okay, so I'll just run you through all the sounds. I'll start off completely bypass, so you don't, this is without anything, just nice and clean. So this is down. Kind of thin. You're not gonna like it that much. Don't use it. So it's okay. I can see where it would be useful, but I don't use it. Mid position, I have a secret sort of. I like this one a little bit. It's got nice. I know it's just very thick. It's very, I say thick. It's more of a single coil sound. Quite nice. So I want to use the most now, so this is up. It's got more to it, I think, yeah. So, nice and full. I use that mostly when I'm quieting down. So, now distort. That's mainly what I like. This is down. This is my switch down. So bridge pickup. It's got a lot of bite to it. Too hard there. Middle position. Don't use this so much, but I suppose if you roll it down a little bit, it might work quite well. A little bit more throatiness to it. Less of that bite, but works better elsewhere. Actually, I tend to use them here. Roll off the tone. Plenty of sustain, which is quite nice. You know, there's a lot, since it's just one piece, or you know, a one piece from here to here. It's got plenty of sort of. I like to do that in case you haven't noticed. It's very percussive. There's a lot of, you can hear a lot of the fret sound. Anyway, that's my guitar. I encourage anybody actually, because this has been quite an experience to build, I encourage anybody to give it a try. I think the most expensive part of maybe doing it is when you start the first time, the tools obviously. So tools wise, I think, well, I picked up a bandsaw to cut out the bodywork, and it did deal with quite a lot of the, you know, taking away big chunks of wood. So I think that cost me just, I think £100, £150 I think it was. You can pick them up
I'll pick up ones that are capable of the job quite easily. Just be mindful of the size of the guitar, because obviously smaller bandsaws, they've got, obviously I'm going into kind of assuming that you want to do it. Smaller bandsaws, the distance between the blade and the inside sort of chassis, that distance needs to be big enough to fit at least some of your body. Because if you're trying to cut in, oh, here we go, trying to cut in here, this big horn is going to impede on the inside. So for me that was a big thing, because obviously this is a big piece of wood. I needed to make sure that I had a decent distance to have in that gap. But that's the main thing for the bandsaw. Rasps, obviously, just to get the shape out. Maybe you might want to get something like cabinet scrapers. Cabinet scrapers are really good for shaping up the back of the neck. Sandpaper's not hard to come by. Obviously, I think hand tool you could probably do fairly well getting the tools for a job like this for less than 200 quid. Maybe between 200 and 300 pound, I think, for a decent set of tools. So that being a fret saw, if you want to do this stuff as well. For instance, for fretting, I just use a regular hammer with padding, and I realise obviously having a dead weight hammer or something is very handy so that it doesn't bounce off. But using a regular hammer with padding, like I literally at one point I just had like a folded up tea towel just glued to the head of my hammer, and that obviously gave it the force without denting. And I made sure the neck was supported with something that was nice and soft. At the time I think I had rice bags. So just a bit of space. I think this guitar in total cost me about £400 to build, and it's quite a funny thing actually, because I quoted BC Rich for a custom, because I've been looking for a custom mahogany maple. It wasn't nothing special I asked them for, just nothing that they wouldn't normally do. I asked them for a through neck mahogany maple beast, and they quoted me £2,500. So what can I say? 400 quid and 3 months of your time, really. Well, 3 months of my time. And obviously this is quite, in terms of shaping, quite an adventurous shape to go for. So the work building a guitar could be made easier if you maybe go for less of a crazy shape. Or a more standard build, like a bolt-on or something. Just if you've been thinking about it and you're like, I might give that a shot, I encourage you to do it. Just take the plunge, get some wood, but do your research. Have watch some videos of people who've done it before. There are many of them out there, many different jigs that you can use to make sure you get everything kind of perfect. One thing that would have been it would have been awesome to have when I was using this was a drill press. Because I wanted to make, before I bought these, I was actually messing around with making pickups. There we go, bobbins. Forgot earlier on. Bobbins is what you wind the coil wire around. I was messing around with making wooden bobbins, because obviously it's a wooden rustic look. I had some walnut left, and I thought, I'll try making it out of maple, just to test. And it was very hard to get all the pole pieces straight. I needed a drill press. And my drill, I have like drill press holders, but my drill has too big a neck on it. So that's really the only thing. So just to recap there, bandsaw. For the back of the neck, I actually use my regular saw. I just use a regular wood saw to get the excess wood from the back. And I accidentally sawed down one of my horns, but I sawed it down. Anyway, yeah. So bandsaw. That's the big heavy lifting beast. A router, just to do like the cavities, and if you want to detail. Fret saw, because they're specific thicknesses, and if you want to, you can maybe find out what thickness that is and sort it out yourself. Files and rasps. Cabinet scraper, or scrapers of different shapes. I use different shape ones. Flat, obviously, for just taking off edges, and when I was doing the concaves and things, I used one that is round. And then I also, what other tools did I use? Oh, a giant drill bit. That was one thing. Yeah, it's a big ass drill bit that you can find online. I bought one specially because I needed to write the wiring on the inside of this, and obviously with it being one piece, if it was two pieces, then you could route it just normally, put the wiring in, and then put the sandwich the top piece on top, if it was like a maple top or something. But this being one piece, I had to drill very carefully a hole, or 2 holes actually, it was 2 consecutive holes. So imagine pickups like this, yeah, big billwood in the middle. I had to drill like that and hope they met, and it did. I say hope, it was an educated guess. But yeah, big ass drill bit so you can drill through from the control cavity to the back of one of your pickups, so you can get wires. And time, patience. I don't have patience. I was literally, you know, really terrible at waiting, sanding. No, I hate sanding. So, you know, more patience than me, you'll probably do a much better job. At least I know now exactly what I would do different. This guitar has a very thick neck, and I like thick necks, but it's not quite thin enough. Just a little bit. I maybe take a little bit off the neck. I might even do it later on in this guitar's lifetime. I just take a little bit more off the neck. But yeah, that's it. It's again, if it's something you'd be thinking about doing, just go for it. It's fun, and what have you got to lose really? I mean, if you've got a little bit of disposable cash, as I said, 400 quid is all this cost me. I realise 400 quid is a lot of money, but 400 quid in terms of guitar, in terms of quality guitars. You can put as much or as little effort as you really want to in this sort of thing. There are kits out there for making guitars in which you just sort of put it together and finish it, and that's cool. That's a cool way to get into it. But doing the research, taking the plunge, and doing it all yourself is not only enjoyable. It can be stressful, but not only enjoyable. It'll give you something to do, and it's also quite a learning experience. You know, I'd never had a background in woodwork or anything like that. I just thought I could maybe give that a shot, and I did. And there were hiccups. If you watch the other video, which I'll link at the bottom, which is on the band's page, of me building this. It's just like loads of snapshots of the progress. There were a few issues, and that's to be expected the first time you do it. But from that, obviously, you learn exactly what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing, and what you can maybe build to help you. And I by no means had the ideal circumstances. I had like a really tiny table, which I had to constantly clear off and put other things on. You manage. So it's a worthwhile endeavour, definitely, if you play guitar or if you're just an enthusiast and you're making a guitar for somebody else. Yeah. Patience. Yeah, it's got character. It's got like a nice. I don't know how to describe it. It's got just a nice. I keep saying things like pang, throatiness, meatiness. These are all buzzwords to describe the wood. All I know is, now I have a greater appreciation for what goes into a guitar in terms of construction and the wood and what that actually does to the sound. Now, for all you maybe guitar players out there who've just picked up guitars, played guitars, and gone, yes, I can play guitar, that's great. I mean, I'm sure you're great. But if you've never changed so much as maybe a pickup, you haven't scratched the surface. It's something that needs to be done. You need to understand your instrument more than understand how to play it. If you know how to play something like a basswood body, maple neck, rosewood fretboard, and then you're playing that, you think that's awesome. And then you go and play another guitar which is, unbeknownst to you, mahogany neck and ebony fretboard with a maple top. You think that sounds awesome. I personally find they sound quite silky smooth, depending on obviously the maker and who built it and how well it's built and what kind of neck joint it has. Then you go, that sounds awesome, but you don't really know why. The way you find out how and why, what part of the guitar is making the sound that you like, is by trying loads of different configurations. better still, building a lot of different configurations. I now have some idea as to what Walnut actually sounds like, because obviously every play is different. When you hear someone play, when you hear me play, when you hear someone else play a Walnut guitar, you'll be like, that doesn't sound great, or that sounds awesome, and I want one, or I don't want one. But unless you play a Walnut guitar, you know, you're playing your style on it, and you feel how it responds to your playing, then you're not going to know how it feels and how it actually sounds. I mean, it might do wonders for the way you play, but it might not sound good the way I play. It might be the way I play that you don't like. You've got to try these things, that's all I'm saying. Diversify, but not in a marketing kind of way, just diversify in your life. Anyway, I'll let you back to your day now.